All right, folks. So Ron DeSantis finally drops out of the race, which is kind of surprising to some, but not surprising to others. I figured generally that Ron DeSantis was going to stay in the race at least until Donald Trump became the nominee, which we all know Donald Trump's going to become the nominee. I figured he would have stayed in there for, Iowa, which he did, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Arizona, blah, blah, blah. But no, he drops out of the race early, folks. Kind of surprising. I'm surprised that Vivek Ramaswamy drops out of the race, too. He dropped out right after the Iowa caucuses, which kind of surprised me. Put all of his efforts behind Donald Trump, which, let's get real. None of these people were going to win anyway. This is not their year, especially Ron DeSantis. I would have figured that he would have waited until 28. But he decided to jump in the race anyway, and it's kind of surprising. People like Asa Hutchinson, which anybody going up against Trump is like, what are you really doing? Trump has a very large base, and a lot of people like Donald Trump because, who is it that said it? I forget the name, but he's a human Molotov cocktail, which is a good thing, especially for the government right now. We need to shake things up. We need to clean out a lot of the corruption that's going on. And Donald Trump seems to be the only one that's going to be able to do that. Vivek Ramaswamy would have definitely done it too. He would have done it a lot more tactful, but he's no longer in the race. So what are we going to do? I just wish people would have came around to see Vivek as the one that could actually get it done, and get it done the best, I guess you could say. Donald Trump's going to go in there like a human Molotov cocktail, and Vivek Ramaswamy would have came in there with a scalpel, essentially. So that's the difference we have, but maybe we need a Molotov cocktail to burn all the corruption down and get everything out of the government that doesn't need to be there. We have an infection in the government right now. Yeah, I'm willing to come out and say that Washington is an infection on this country right now. And it's all thanks to the mainstream narrative machine, who spins things just so lovely to where it just makes people not know what to believe anymore, because they're supposed to be telling you the truth, but they don't. But what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. How in the hell is your day going? I hope y'all are having a pretty good day. As you can see, I'm freezing out here. It is cold. I don't have no heat. Whatever. It's fine. But what's up, y'all? This is Legitical Response. We cover political news, keep you up to date on what the government is doing, because we all need to know what the government is doing constantly. And we're going to cover stuff that the mainstream narrative machine either doesn't choose to cover for whatever reason, even though we need to know some of this stuff that goes on in the government, like this BS spending package that we just had. But they don't cover it, but whatever. So if you want to keep up to date with what the government is doing and stay informed on that kind of stuff, smash that subscribe button for me and turn on your notifications. I pop out videos every single day. But what's up, y'all? We're going to get into something. As you probably might figure, there's not much news going on today. It's Sunday, so what do you got? So we're going to talk about the campaign trail. Yeah, we're going to talk about New Hampshire. We got the New Hampshire primary coming up, so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about Nikki Haley, who is more likely going to fail, right? That's what we're all thinking. Of all the places that Nikki Haley could win, this is probably the one that she has the best chance of doing. I don't think she's going to do it, but some people seem to believe that she will. So let's go ahead and get into the news right quick. We're talking about Nikki Haley, so if you don't want to talk about Nikki Haley, this probably isn't the video for you, but we're going to talk about Nikki Haley, so let's get into it. Nikki Haley tries to draw New Hampshire's independents without alienating voters who back Trump. Now, from right off the top, this here news article makes the assumption that people that are gonna vote for Trump might actually switch and vote for Nikki Haley. That, to me, is an impossibility. What they should have said is Nikki Haley tries to draw New Hampshire's independence, and that's it. Well, I don't understand what they mean without alienating voters who back Trump. Anybody who's a conservative, who's a genuine conservative, and is paying a little bit of attention to what's going on right now, will not vote for Nikki Haley. This person it's like she's a Democrat plant. Iowa caucuses prove that. There was a lot of people that switched their votes from Democrat to Republican and voted for Nikki Haley during that event. And Nikki Haley is essentially a Democrat. If you look at all her talking points, she's an authoritarian. She would be queen if it came down to it. She is more authoritarian than Joe Biden is. Imagine that. Let's get into the story, though, because it's a little bit different than what we normally cover. But let's get into it. This is coming out of Concord, New Hampshire. Richard Anderson drove through a snowstorm last week. You know, I can't stand how they do this. This is a news story, right? It was a dark and stormy night. We don't need none of that. Drove through a snowstorm last week to see his preferred candidate in New Hampshire's Republican primary, but he's not sure how far he'll go to support her if she wins the nomination, which she won't. Anderson, a 73-year-old independent voter from Jackson, liked what he heard from Nikki Haley at the Mount Washington Hotel, but he disagrees with the former UN ambassador's plan to pardon former President Donald Trump if he is convicted of any crimes he's been charged with. Now, automatically, just from that line, we can tell this person watches the mainstream news all the time, because if they don't want Donald Trump pardoned, if he gets convicted of all this, well, he has been lied to by the narrative machine. Okay, we all know, anybody paying attention that looks into this stuff knows that Donald Trump's indictments in all of these cases that he has is just political persecutions, right? There's nothing behind it. Every single president has brought home classified documents, right? Every single election, people challenge that election through the court system, right? And we all know that the so-called insurrection wasn't an insurrection. It was a protest that got out of hand. There was some violence, but Donald Trump isn't to blame for that. On the contrary, he actually told these people to go and be peaceful. Said we are the party of law and order and all that other jazz, right? Made a video after they done stormed the Capitol telling them to go home. Be peaceful, go home. This is a bad time for everybody, blah, blah, blah. I played the videos before. I'm not going to play them because we all know the lines. But let's keep going. That bothers me, he said. I'll still vote for her in the primary, but I'll wait to see if she's still saying that in the general election. Haley's best shot at shaking Trump's grip on the Republican nomination rests with her ability to attract New Hampshire's independent voters. Right, because she's not going to attract any conservative or Republicans. That's for sure. She's not going to attract conservatives. I'll say that. We have Republicans that are not conservatives, that are essentially uniparty people. I'll put it that way, because they're not politicians. But they're still kind of, in that range. They claim to be Republicans, but they're not conservatives. Including some who might not stick with her in November without alienating too many conservatives. Other Republicans have hit the right balance here, notably John McCain in 2 GOP primary victories. But those wins came long before Trump's rise in politics and the Republicans' rightward shifts in both the state and nationally. Now, you see how they just kind of slowly place that in there? Republicans' rightward shift. This is the mainstream narrative machine trying to say that Republicans are going further to the right. Like I've always said, anybody who's paying attention knows that it's not the Republicans moving right. It's not the general people. Okay? Let's look at this logically. Okay? It's not everybody moving toward the right, which is people in the middle, people on the right. They're not all moving toward the right. It's this leftist regime that seems to be expanding left. We still have some people that are old school Democrats, liberals, that are still, just normal people that happen to be leftists. But their party has shifted and expanded so far out to the left that they've fell off the camera, like my hand did, right? It's not that everybody else is moving right. That's not it at all. And we all know this. We've all seen it. Because you go back 15 years ago, nobody was thinking that a man is a woman. Nobody was thinking that we should have men using women's restrooms. 15 years ago, nobody was thinking that, hey, it's okay for this man to be in women's sports. Nobody was thinking that we should have drag queen story time for kids. Nobody was thinking that it's okay for kids to show up to a drag queen parade. This is all just insanity coming from the left. And they have tried and tried and tried to normalize this stuff. And people are starting to fight back. And as a matter of fact, we are starting to win. We are starting to gain ground on this. And this is very, very good news. Because for a little while, it looked like, people were getting canceled on social media for saying, oh, but there's only two genders. 15 years ago, there was only two genders. There's still only two genders. However, like I said, that extreme leftist group of the leftists keep seeming to go left and falling right off the damn map. But like I said, we're starting to fight back. There's still only two genders these days. But that is the mainstream narratives machine trying to spin it to where it's trying to make people believe that normal people like me and you are just traveling further right when it's really not. I mean, I can understand from their perspective, they believe they're sitting still and everybody's moving right. But that's not really what's happening here, folks. They just can't see it, and they're trying to make you believe what they're seeing. And that's just not how it is. It's a very difficult needle to thread, said Nathan Schrader, an associate professor of politics at New England College, because if she makes too much of an overt play for that independent voter, that could be a turnoff for some of the Republicans who we know in the Trump era are more conservative than they might have been a generation ago. Now, once again, the narrative machine trying to put their little spin on it. No, nobody's more conservative. As a matter of fact, study after study after study shows that our civilization has slowly moved leftward, slowly progressed leftward. 25 years ago, it was illegal in most states for gay marriage, right? Somebody like me, a straight conservative, would have been against gay marriage. Me, personally, I could care less. So I have moved further left than my predecessors would have been, right? So, no, I'm sorry. That's just not how things work. We are not slowly moving right. If anything, we are slowly moving left. And the extreme left progressives have gone so far away from normal people that they believe that everybody's moving to the right. No, I mean, just look at history. I'm a big study of history. I used to be really, really deep into history. I mean, just go back to 1965, right before, or 1964. Let's say 63, before the Civil Rights Movement, right? We still had segregation all over the place. That seems insane to me these days, right? I look at race as just a physical characteristic. Back then, they looked at race a lot differently. You couldn't get certain jobs if you were a certain race, right? You were shamed upon if you were in an interracial couple. No longer these days. That is a norm these days. I believe that we're slowly moving toward one race where everybody looks the same. We'll probably get there one day, a few thousand years into the future, but we will get there one day. I can almost assure you of that. But no, folks, do not let the mainstream narrative machine fool you into believing that you're some kind of hard right or far right extremist. No. Normal people are still normal, and we still have the same beliefs that we've always had. Like I said, as a matter of fact, we've slightly shifted to the left on some issues. We're a lot more open-minded, I guess you could say. And that trend is going to continue. You know, unfortunately, one day, we might just have all unisex bathrooms everywhere. Yeah, I don't want to see that, of course. I mean, we still only have two genders, but, you know, time marches on, and that's just how it is. You know, hopefully we come to our senses when it comes to a certain point, and we get to an essential wall. Like, you can't be a woman and a man. You can't be a man and claim to be a woman. You're still a man, right? I'm okay if you want to identify as a woman, but don't get butthurt if I call you a man, because if you look like a man, I'm going to assume that you're a man because you are a man. And that's all I got for this one, folks. I want to thank everybody for watching, and like I said, let me know what you guys think about all this. Is the mainstream narrative machine trying to fool everybody, or is it just a component of the left moving so far left, and some of these people are, from their perspective, everybody's moving right, but in reality, they're just shifting farther to the left with everybody else? Let me know what you think about all this down in the comment section, and like I said, thanks for watching, you guys, and y'all try to have a good day and be positive. Peace.